What's up, my knights? It's Laga Dragon Knight here, and today, since today is the 4th of July, I thought I would do first video as a special. Now this one is kind of a work in progress, so I'm only going to be doing the prologue video. Also, since I'm been going on vacation this week, since I actually have time off from taking care of the elderly person in the house, I get to have a week off, so I'm going to enjoy it going to water park. Anyway, this what if is called What If Dragon Knight Was in Naruto. Now, I did try to make one of this earlier, but that one just made no sense. Anyway, let's get into this video. It all starts, it's ironically 4th of July, 2016. I'm just gonna say, like, when I'm referring to Knight as like by his old name, I'll just call him Knight. But his name that he has in Naruto, I'll refer to that when it's necessary. Anyway, as Knight just got finished done writing his story, he looked over all the stuff from the Naruto anime that he had in this place, but he noticed one thing in particular: a replica of the fourth Hokage's kunai. He noticed it started glowing. So he walked over to it, and as soon as he touched it, he saw a white light, and all of a sudden found himself in a void. Now, at first he was freaking out, but then he realized, wait a second, this is the place where Naruto and Sasuke met, and he turned around and saw the Sage Six Paths. Sage goes, oh, I was not expecting a visitor in my plane of existence. Knight just chuckles, says, well, when one accidentally touches a weapon that has space-time techniques on it, you're bound to end up somewhere weird. And the Harugumo goes, too true, my friend. So, may I ask why you're here? And Knight asks, well, before I do, I have a question for you. You. Sorry if I started, guys. Anyway, Harugumo says, and what question be that? Knight then asks, is it true that you've been to every version of Naruto? And Harugumo says, yes, in fact, the new one recently was born. However, Harugumo says, as he gets a dark look in his eyes, Knight says, however, apparently something has corrupted the world because the enemies that were in the story, for those who've seen the anime and read the manga, are 3 times stronger than what they were supposed to be. And Knight frowns and says, so that means Naruto won't be able to take them all on. And Hakumo goes, yes, and I fear the elemental nations in that world will be fallen to Kaguya. And Knight says, well, what can I do to help? Hakumo goes by and says, you're asking to help a totally complete stranger go to an unknown world and help people you never met. And Knight Choco says, well, technically I met them before, just different versions of them. And Hakumo goes, ah, so you're one of those people. You are a world crafter. And Knight says, I prefer the term, what if maker, honestly. But yeah, world crafter works. And said, alright, but in order for you to go there, you have to be a completely new body. It says, well, that's going to be interesting. And Hakumo says, but I can give you the blood of 3 different clans. However, you will have your last name, because you cannot take your name you were born with in the world you are from, because that might cause suspicion. And Knight nonsense, yes, especially considering it's an English name, and all the names in Naruto are Japanese. Yes. And as Hakumo begins, like, a little screen comes up, as if from a game, and Hakumo begins editing the screen. And that's when Knight actually asks a question. Hakumo, could you bring 7 spirits here? And Hakumo says, what for? Well, there is a technique called Blood Shadow Clone, and I want to make 7 clones to train under these guys. Nice. Nice. In their fields, which is the art of the sword. Wood. And Hokam goes, why? And Knight simply says, mainly because of the fact that most of the opponents for the entire remainder of Naruto and the beginning, like a few bits of Shippuden, are all sword users. So if I have my own sword techniques, it says and we match them evenly. The Knight nods. So, Haguma says, what will your new name be and what clan? And could I have a new clan come to Kona? Come to Elemental Nations? And what clan is that? Knight thought long and hard and decided to remembered his father who had passed away a few years earlier. Remembered his thing for Star Wars, says, Kenobi. I am a member of the Kenobi clan. Hakuromo nods, saying, and what should the Kenobi specialize in? Well, the Kenobis are masters of negotiations, swordsmanship, and elemental manipulation for all the basic elements except fire. Because fire feels destructive, with the Kenobis, all the elements feel supportive. Hakuromo nods. I'd say, what about your first name? Kano. Kano Kenobi. That's what I'll be. Yeah. And Hakuromo says, very well, Kano Kenobi. So, these seven spirits, you want me to summon them? Yes. And, without revealing who these are, these seven spirits are summoned. Now, at that moment, Hakuromo de-aged Knight to age 4. And he said to Knight that he will be 4.5 years older than Naruto. Knight says, alright. And Knight, it does the hand sign, goes, Blood Shadow Clone Jutsu, and makes 7 clones. Each of these clones go off with these 7 masters of the sword to learn from them. And Knight says, but if I'm going to train, I need a way to do it. And says, Hakuromo. You know how I make Naruto stories in my world before I came here? And Hakuromo nods, saying, yes, why? Well, I have a list of jutsu that I made for it. What? And Hakuromo says, and you wish to have those scrolls? Knight Kano nods. Hakuromo makes the list appear, and he sees all the scrolls of his techniques that he made, except for the scroll containing his fire jutsu. Now Kano says, alright, let's see if I can find it. Kano looks for his scrolls and finds, here we go. Time Chamber Jutsu. And Hakuromo goes, are you sure that's wise? Nice. Which is why I have a request for you, Hakuromo-san. Oh, what's that? When Naruto turns 9, I would like for you to call me out of this chamber. Besides, my control going in, I only can make it to where 1 day is 3 months in there. Yeah. Hakuromo nods, saying, are you sure more about this? You do not know, that training will be hard in that place. And Kano just said, well, Rome wasn't built in a day, so let's do it. So Kano enters the special dimension, and Hakuromo simply says, that boy seems to have a lot of potential. Reminds me of Indra and Ashura when they were his age. But Hakuromo frowns, saying, but how did he come to this place? It's not normal for someone just to touch an artifact to be sent to a new place. Now, back with Kano, Nana said, well, looks like everything I described when I made the jutsu, oh, every type of environment imaginable through the animals as well. Not only that, but there's a giant, massive building capable of supporting at least 400 people for training purposes. Is not only that, but it's fully stocked with food, armory, and a garden. And Kano said, well, let's begin. Now, I'm not going to go into detail of what Kano is going to do, but I will do a brief summary. For the first 2 years of Naruto's life, Kano spent using clones to basically get his control down to a T. Yeah, and doing physical exercise. Nice. If you're wondering how physically fit he is, imagine Barry Allen from The Flash's body physique when he wakes up from his coma. If that paints a picture for everybody. Anyway, next 3 years, this is when Naruto is 5, Kano uses his clones to start practicing jutsu in the elemental exercises, as well as learning every single history book. Everything about the history of the elemental nations. Since his library is filled with all that information. So, Kano became a proud representation of the Kenobi clan. And because Masters in negotiation, after all. Now, from 6 to 9, during this time, the blood clones that Kano sent with the 7 masters popped, and Kano invented his own, basically mastered each of their forms of style fighting. Inside the mansion, Kano finds this massive room that's like a forge. So Kano starts to work making his 3 weapons. First weapon will be a bow staff, like the third Hokage. But Kano will basically have it kind of like Donatello. Hello. Next, he makes a chakra bow for range. That he wears on his back. And third and finally, he took a little bit of inspiration from the Naruto universe, the Star Wars universe, the Percy Jackson universe, and a few other universes I will not name because of how some of them are. But he designed his very own unique saber sword. Now, it's like a lightsaber, but instead of using kyber crystal and stuff, it uses the chakra. And whatever color it is determines your path. And the color of this saber is forest green. Now, after Kano basically does all that, he still has a year and a half left for Naruto before Naruto turns 9. So, Kano begins learning elemental jutsu. Now, just to let you guys know, he only will learn in the E to C category. The B, E to S categories, he will not attempt to learn until the tuning exams. So, let's begin. For Wind Style, E rank, Snake Buster, Wind Wave, Wind Cutter, Rotating Shuriken, Down Current, Gentle Breeze, and Deodorize. During this time, Kano's physical body had the way he was before he came there, so he had to learn to shave. He also hunted the animals inside the dimension as well to get used to the fact that he'd taken a life. Next, D rank for Wind Style, Wind Bullet, Drilling Wind Bullet, Wind Prison, Wind Arrow, Cool Breeze, Cutting Wing, Air Vortex, Wind Body Flicker, Southern Gust. C Wing. C rank, Gale Palm, Great Breakthrough, Wind Dome, Vacuum Bullets, Great Breach, Piercing Spear, Dragon's Roar. Side note, there is an elemental version of every element of Dragon's Roar. So if you hear me say Dragon's Roar multiple times for the C rank jutsu, that's why. Wind Current, Spiraling Wind Ball, Dragon Wave, Vacuum Great Sphere, Flower Tether Dance, sequence. Tornado. Sonic Boom. Mini air slashes. Wind Soul. Better Prey. Tornado Fist. Beast Tearing Palm. And Divine Wind. Now for water style. Water style. Water Shuriken. Water Gun. Water Vapor Clone. Filtrate. Condensation. Evaporation. Water Bowl. For D rank, Waddy Body Flicker, Water Bullet, Water Pulse, Water Snake, Water Crystal, Water Army, Water Demon, Water Fang Bullet, Tearing Torrent, Sticky Water, and Water Drainage. Now, as a side note for anyone who's wondering, it was mandatory for Ninja to know all the E and D ranks of their elements. It was mandatory. However, because of the Civilian Council in Konoha, none of the ninja knew that. Anyway, for C rank for water style, Ripping Torrent, Waterfall, Water Prison, Gun Shot, Hidden Mist, Water Tiger 1000, Water Needles, Cold Sky Attack, Syrup Binding Rope, Torrential Slash, Water Whip, Fury Wave, Water Rush, Snake's Mouth, Raging Waves, Spring Burst, Black Rain, and Great Water Bullet. Now, as a side note, Kano didn't get a lot of practice with his Earth and Lightning techniques, so they are not that high, in terms of joning. They're low tuning level, basically. High gaining, low tuning level. For Earth style, Quicksand, Rock Collapse, Mudcast, Mud Den, Earth Den, Earth Shield, Hole, Fill-In, Snare, Rock Bowl, D rank, Ink, Earth Body Flicker, Earth Bullet, Rock Bullet, Earth House, Terra Shield, Stone Pistol, Rock Fist, Iron Prison, Stonebreaker, Rock Breaker, Earth Trap Rock, Selection Cane. Basically, you take a rock any size and you make it into a bow staff shape. One of the reasons why I had Kano have himself a bow staff as a weapon, because he used the earth as his bow staff. F. Pitfall, Mudslide, Skewer, or Pitfall, Underground Projection Fish, Sensing Like a Mole, Area Descent, Leveling the Playing Field Jutsu. C rank, Hiding Like a Mole, Stone Pillar Prison, Earth Golem, Mudslide, Mobile Core, or Stone Fist, Mud River, Elevating Ground, Mud Wave, Flying Stones, Earth Spear, Rolling Boulder, Stone Spikes, Earthquake Palm, Terra Shield, Earth Shaking Palm, and Earth Shore Return. And now, I'm not going to say it's lightning yet, because I want him to reveal his lightning list, because it's going to play a factor later for someone. Anyway, during the time in the pocket space, Kano also uses his clones to work on Sealing Jutsu and Medical Ninjutsu. So far, Kano could only make B rank seals. However, a side note that I would like to point out to people. Originally, I thought sealing had an E rank category. It didn't. So, all those who expect me to use E rank seals, yeah, they don't exist. Sorry, guys. For medical ninjutsu, Tsu, he managed to master all the way to A rank. Well, S rank actually, but that's because he had so few jutsu listed down. However, he soon found a scroll of a jutsu that he was not expecting to find in his list. It's called Massage Touch Jutsu. And essentially what this jutsu was made for, or was basically to help someone whose nerves are very tight and overworked. Now, I'm not saying genjutsu because I gotta keep some things hidden at the role. Now, for his taijutsu styles, he chose two specific taijutsu styles to follow under. He chose the Wolf Fist because of its speed and maneuverability, and the Maelstrom Fist for its heavy attacks and unpredictable movements. In fact, he even combines them from time to time while he fights. It's kind of like second nature to him. Anyway, as soon as Naruto turned 9, the sage appeared with his blood clones. They all popped, and they were actually learning jutsu as well. But those jutsu are not the kind used. Anyway, after Kano thanks the sage and everything, he cancels the jutsu. Looks out and sees that he is somewhere between the land of grass, the land of snow, and the land of waves. And Kano said, well, I gotta make myself money, so bounty hunting it is. So for the next 2.5 years 2 years. 2 years, 3 months. Kano goes around with bounties. Going bounties. However, he never killed his targets. He always took them alive. In fact, he got so popular that one time at a station, because at this point he's old enough to drink, he was enjoying a nice ice cup of vodka, because he never tried it before, and he's just trying it once. And he looked over and noticed that the news from the bingo book opened up. He looks at it and sees a lot of the bounties he took down were taken out. Originally, the bingo book, when he became bounty hunter, was so thick in the D, C, and B rank sections. Like, what's a good thing to compare it to? Not that. Do I have one of these books on me? Yes, I do. Each section of the page were this thick. However, because of his work, that went down to 1/3 the size. Anyway, as Ken is going through it, he spots a section that actually has information on him. Here is his bounty hunter info. Name, Kano Kanoi. Titles, Master of Defense, The Negotiator. Rank, unknown. Age 16. Elements, unknown. Achievements, captured alive and delivered 600 D rank, 200 C rank, 100 A rank, and 50 A rank missing ninja. At this, Kano raises an eyebrow, because sure, he used his clones to go far and right delivering bounties in order to get cash. In fact, he's sitting himself on 25,000 Ryu at this point. Not only that, but he's also done local jobs. In fact, he even did a favor for the samurai in the land of Iron. And a group of bandits had took place on the mines and held captives there of many children. Kano went in there, was able to rescue the children before the bandits knew what happened, and was able to beat their leader, who was a master of the 3E sword style technique in a duel. Well, only with having a little cut on his hand. Ninjutsu, unknown. Genjutsu, assumed to be low joining level. And if anyone's wondering what the ninjutsu, genjutsu, taijutsu sections are, basically to like their mastery of it. Right. Anyway, taijutsu, unknown. Fuinjutsu, unknown. Kenjutsu, joning. Now after that, this is where things get interesting. Kano decides to head out of town after reading his information, because he was sure someone would probably want to hire him. So he goes deep in the wilderness. And this is between in the land. This is close to the gambling town where Tsunade was, basically, in canon. But like deep in the forest. Kano goes there, uses our style to make himself a little house, and then sets his work by making 1,000 shadow clones, and has them go trading, being in chakra control, and to gain his reserves up. Kano then sits down on a stump and begins to meditate. And Kano's thinking back the last 2 years and 3 months. During that time, he gained 2 summoning contracts. One was the Uzumaki summoning contract, which were the wolves. The second one was something he knew all too much about, because he was a big fan. He is a big fan of the franchise, Jaegers from Pacific Rim. Now, he's met the wolves and the Jaegers in the respective summon lands, but he hasn't been really using the Jaegers. He only uses them like for situations that need them. Jaegers can mate them as small as 15 feet tall, or as big as they are in the actual like movies and games, for anyone who's wondering. Anyway, all of a sudden, Kano felt a presence behind him, and said, if you're trying to sneak up on me, you should have hid your energy better. And then the person revealed himself to be Jiraiya of the Sun. And says, "What do I owe the pleasure, Lord Jiraiya?" Jiraiya said, "I have a few questions for you." And Kenobi basically just used ammunition to make a chair right next to him and says, "Come, sit." Said, what are your questions? And Jiraiya said, "How is it that you know the third Hokage's technique? The fourth Hokage's technique?" Now this, Kano said, "Which technique specifically?" And Jiraiya said, "The Rasengan." Now this, Kano Rizanaba said, "I assume you're referring to my water-style tearing torrent." Jiraiya raises his name and says, "There's actually a water version like that?" And Kano nods. And Kano said, Jiraiya, yeah. When was the last time you visited your godson?" At this, Jiraiya really tensed up, basically grabbed Kano, slammed him in the tree, says, "How do you know I have a godson?" And Kano said, "I know that you haven't been visiting him, otherwise you would know of the blatant sabotage done to him and all the abuse he's been put through." Jiraiya said, "Explain now." And Kano explains what he knew about Naruto at this point, and saying, if he arrived there, he would fail the second. He only have 3 months before failing the academy a second time. With 1 year left to prove himself, but he never trains because no one ever bothered to teach him properly. This, Jiraiya gets super angry. Kenobi puts a hand on his shoulder and says, "How about we both go to Konoha? I go there to put my clan in Konoha. And you and I will teach Naruto. Besides," I said, "if I'm right about his affinities, I think I'm probably the best person to teach him." Jiraiya was about saying, "What do you mean?" "Well, from what I understand, it's biological what elements you naturally gain. For example, say your mother had a primary water affinity but a weak wind affinity, and your father had a primary lightning affinity but a weak wind affinity as well. If they had a kid, that kid's primary affinity would be powerful wind, and in secondary it would be water. Lightning will be there, but it would be really tiny. Kenobi said as he packed up his sight as he and Driver set off to Konoha. And with that, I'm ending the video, guys. This is just a prologue video. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you all next time. Till all one.